Hi, everyone. I wanted to come back on here. I know I made a video a couple of months back about the changes that were happening at LI Craft Stop, but things have changed since then, as some of you know, and some of you may have heard. So, as a lot of you know, I am transitioning the classes from Patchogue to my home in Ronkonkoma. Not really by choice. I had no intention of ever doing classes back at the house again. I used to do it years ago. But the card classes, we have such a nice group of ladies that do it. I don't really want to stop doing the card classes. So I am going to do them at home with Mike's blessing. We're going to stick to once a month. Bridget and Christina are moving away from in person classes and more towards their online shop. So it was just kind of stop the classes or continue them at home. So we'll do them at home. But here's the thing, I'm not a business. Now, this may be considered a local small business now, but I'm not a business. I can't get wholesale accounts or things like that. I do have many friends in the industry who have been very generous and who have ordered things for me here and there as I have needed them to stockpile for classes. However, I don't have that same availability that a store or a like legitimate business would. So things are going to be a little bit different. And I just wanted to tell you some of the things that seem to kind of be set now for January. And I thought just a video was the easiest way because a post takes too long. So for the changes then coming, the first thing is that we're skipping December. We were going to have December class. It was going to be the last class at Patchogue, but the date did not work out. Bridget is away for the first time in a long time, and Christina is unavailable. So there is no December class. So that means November is the end of it. And we will start up again in January. I do have the dates at the end of this video, so you can always fast forward if you just want those dates. They're through June because I usually skip July and August because it's summer vacation. As most of you know, I'm a teacher. So I skip July and August. Plus, everybody on Long Island is on vacation or at the beach or somewhere else on a weekend. Maybe I'll try a weeknight class once in a while, but we'll see how that goes. So these are just through June, and then in June I'll announce the dates for September through December, which is how I've been doing it with Christina and Bridget over the last few years. Excuse me. So we're in Ronkonkoma now. Now, this is my home. If you've been to my home, if you haven't been here for a while, the basement has changed. I finally got the walls taken down a few years ago. We have this great commercial grade vinyl here. I've got lots of lighting. Unfortunately, the poles are still the poles. They're still in the middle. So, we do have to work around those, unfortunately, but it's better than nothing. So it takes me about 15 minutes or so to get home from the store, and that's not speeding. It's sometimes during traffic. I don't go the way that's on the map, but it really does only take me about 15 minutes from the store to my home. I live between exit 60 and 61, just north of the expressway. So that's that. It's pretty easy for you to get here because of the expressway. If you live anywhere in the vicinity of the expressway, if you are South Shore, it still won't take you that long to get here. So I hope that the change in location is beneficial for some of you or not a problem for others of you. I am going to limit it to 6 people, though. I might be able to fit 8, and I'll see how that goes as I go through. But what I have right now is for 6 people. Those are the supplies that I have. I don't have supplies for 8 when I ordered. So as I move through, if I feel like I can fit 2 more people down here and I can rearrange the tables around, then I will. The problem are these poles. So then I will. But for now, we're going to limit it to 6 crafters at a time. I will be the 7th person. So that's me down there in the red, right? So 6 of you, 1 of me, and that's going to be the max out for down here. I'm going to try to keep the prices as they are, but I am going to say, and I have said before, that January, February, March, they're staying the same as they were at the store. Christina had changed them in the spring for September. Excuse me, and the individual class prices were lowered, and then the bundle was lowered as a result, and we went to 3 classes for 2 hours instead of 4 for an hour and a half. So we're going to keep the same format, and we're going to see what happens. Again, Christina could order things wholesale and I can't. And same with paper. And I mean, I sell close to my heart, but the discount that I get at close to my heart, it's not that huge, and the paper is not cheap. So it's good paper. Don't get me wrong. That's why I sell it. I love it. I use it myself. But it's not cheap to use for a card class when you're only charging $15 for a class, and that class includes the stamp set and the materials for the class. Not that anybody's looking to make a profit on it. I'll get to that in a minute. But the one thing that I promised Mike was that I would not lose money doing this. And I have to keep to that promise with him. So I have some other paper that I can get on sale. It's not as good quality, but it's for cards and there's samples as far as I'm concerned when we make them. So I'm hoping that we can just keep the prices the way they are. But I do want to just mention that I do have to reevaluate as I go based on what the supplies cost and the money that I'm laying out. So the payment has to be done in advance. You can do Venmo or PayPal friends and family. Those are really the only two ways to get me money in advance. I mean, if you live close by, I suppose you could drop off cash, but at least then this secures your place, because there is no holding of a seat without payment, unfortunately. Because again, people say, I'm coming, I'm coming. And then all of a sudden they don't go. But now I'm stuck. I saved a seat and now I'm out the supplies that I bought. So we're not going to do that again. This is not my business. This is just something that I'm doing for fun and not to lose money on, not to make money per se, but not to lose money on. So these are the two ways for you to pay in advance. There will be no, what should I say, walk-ins, because I won't have the kits made or cut. So there'll be a deadline as to when you can pay for the class. And as is always the case with everywhere, there are no refunds unless the class is sold out. So we're at 6 people. And then there's a 7th person who wants to come, but they can't because the class is sold out. In that instance, if you needed to bail on the class, you could then get a refund. But if that doesn't happen, if I don't sell all 6 seats, or if I don't have somebody on a waiting list that wants to come and pay for your spot and take your place, then unfortunately, I cannot give you a refund. You will get the kit that we have. I mean, that's certainly yours. You've paid for it. I can't promise you that I'm doing video tutorials, though, of these, because most of them are simple, straight up stamping and coloring classes. The fancy classes are usually just, they'll be layering stencils and dies and things that we've done. I'll try to do videos, but the main reason I did videos before was because Christina and Bridget were also selling the kits online from the classes. And so I made the tutorials for people who bought the kit but didn't come to the class. And since I'm only having 6 people and I'm not selling kits online, there's no real reason for me to do that. So I can't promise that I'll be doing that. So if you buy a spot or buy a seat in a class and then you find that you can't come, I'm not mailing things also, so please be aware of that. You'd have to come pick it up. I can leave it outside for you when I go to school, or you could come by when I'm around, whatever works best for you. However, please know that I'm likely not going to make videos of it. So you'll have the things, you'll see the samples. They should be easy enough to follow, but that's a little bit of a change because, again, not a business like they were. I am still going to offer the bundle because I think that that's a good value. And again, I'm not in this for money. I'm in this for us to stay together and keep active with our crafting. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to open it to bundles only for the first 5 days or so after I post the class. Because if I only have 6 items, then if somebody just wants, I don't know, say like a flower class, right? That the class 1 of the day. That means I don't have any more bundles. I have to sell 2 separate single seats to get the money back for those supplies that I've laid out. So I'm going to sell in a bundle first because most people buy all 3 classes and do it for the day. So after the first 5 or so days, then I will open up to single classes, single seats like that. But so if you want the bundle, then I'm going to say the best way to guarantee that is within the first 5 days of posting. I think that that's fair to people who want all three classes. And then I think it's fair to people who just want the one, because this is what works better for me as well. So I'm sorry, but I have to go with me first on this one. But it still gives you a chance to do the single classes. And we're still sticking with the bring your own. The bring your own started with Christina and how much stuff was being ordered. And I think that there were things that I wasn't really aware of at the time these conversations were happening, but we have to stick with that at this point. Again, I'm not a store. I can't get things wholesale. I'm not going to keep like classroom fulls of supplies at my house. I mean, if you've seen my house, you know I've got way too much stuff to begin with. But those are my things, and my things have to stay separate from this. I do have some things that you can use here, but there will be the same list that we've been doing since September of what's required for each of the classes. Some of the things I may have available for you to use, we'll get to that in a minute, and other things you will have to bring on your own, or you will not be able to complete the class when you're here. And again, there's no refund for that. So please keep those things in mind and take those descriptions seriously, so that you know what you need, and please read them before you sign up for the class. I don't want you to spend a lot of money on things that you don't have. You can always substitute what you do have, but I don't want you to spend a lot of money on things that you don't have, and then it costs you a lot of money to come to class. So again, always substitute. You don't have to use the colors or the inks that I'm using. They may match the paper, so you may want to do a comparison between the colors to see what you have that matches best. But again, read through that post so that you know what you have to bring with you before you sign up, because I cannot give you back your money unless that situation happens again with a sold out class and a seventh person. Envelopes also cost a lot of money. So the next way that I have to keep the prices where they are is I can't provide envelopes for the classes. I know, I'm sorry, it's a card class, cards come with envelopes, but I'd have to raise the price to cover the envelopes. I mean, when we do nine 9 cards usually, right? 3 cards per class usually. So if we do 9 cards, and even if we have just 5 people, it's 45 envelopes. And it's different sizes. So it's not just I just have to go buy a box of envelopes. It's I need to go buy 3 different sizes or 2 different sizes, and then I need to store them and keep them here. And it's just not something that I think is necessary as an expense to charge you for, when you can go out and bulk buy your own envelopes in the same size from BJ's, from Staples, from Amazon, from wherever you decide. I do know that LI Craft Stop has some of those, and they may be going on sale soon. So again, with the bring your own supplies, there are some things of mine that you can use if you don't want to bring that with you or you don't have it. Inks, like my little distress ink cubes or my distress oxide cubes, if I'm using those. Alcohol markers, normal regular markers, sometimes maybe my colored pencils depending on what we're doing. But if you're going to do that, and that's okay to do, if you're going to do that, there's an additional $10 for the day, because I'm going to have to replace those supplies at some point. And again, it's not fair for me to take it out of my pocket, because trust me when I tell you, there is no profit in this. I'm not doing this for money. As I said, I'm doing this to keep the classes going and for us to have a way to still come together monthly. So by the time you're done with time and cutting paper and buying paper and stamps and dies or layering stencils or whatever else is needed, there is no profit left in this. Here comes Anna, so you may hear some meows. And I'm okay with that. But again, I go back to the promise I made to Mike that it can't cost me any money. So if you want to use these items that we're using for class and what we're using for class, that's not a problem. It's $10 for the day for all 3 classes. But it's only the supplies that we're using for class. So if we're not using alcohol markers, they're not covered under this for the day. I'm not taking them out. But if it's something like distress watercolor pencils, I don't have those for you to use here. Those are, I have my own, but those are not for class use. You need to bring those. If you don't bring those, then you'll need to substitute with something else, like your own watercolor pencils or something along those lines. So please be mindful of those things. What I do have for a particular class or for a day of classes, I will list for you so that you know what I have here and what's covered under the $10 for that particular day. And then you'll also know what you need to bring on your own. So I hope that that kind of makes sense. That's what we've been doing here. The difference is the fee, because what you have been using at the store are Christina's in the store, and they got those at their price, and that's just not the case here anymore. All right, so if there's any questions, again, please feel free to ask me about it. So what's included in your class fee will be your class kit. It'll be your paper, all the papers that you need. You'll be cutting most of them, so you'll need to bring your trimmer and your scoreboard for sure. But you'll have the paper that you need for your classes. These are not my cards. They were just cute, I thought. The paper that you need, any kind of words, die cuts, things like that, you have access to those. You have access to a variety of different of my flower dies that you can use for class. You get whatever the featured product is. So if we're using, let's just say we're using this frog stamp, just for example, then the frog stamp comes with the class. So that's included in your fee. If we're doing, again, it's 3 classes. So let's say we're doing a set of 3 frogs. Fine. You get to take the stamp home and recreate them on your own. If we were doing this cupcake card, then you would have the cupcake stamp. And again, that's yours to take home. It's included in the fee. The fancy class is going to alternate right now between Pink Fresh layering stencils with an optional stamp and die that goes with it that you can buy separate from the class. Those are additional purchases. Same with whatever flowers that I use from Heartfelt Creations or stamps. That is an additional purchase that you are welcome to make or not make. Again, there's no obligation. That is separate from. In the fancy classes, we are using, usually it's in between. So I have some heartfelt dies that we have enough of for everyone. They're new in the package. So we'll make the cards with that. That die is yours to take home, which is why the fancy class is always more money, because the product always costs more and we always do more. There's always more paper being used. So the individual classes right now will stay at, the fancy class is $35 on its own. The other 2 are $15 each on their own. The bundle price will still be $49 for now and hopefully stays that way. I'm not saying I'm changing it. I'm just saying that I need that flexibility to be able to change it should I find that it's costing me money. So it again comes with whatever stamp we're using for the 2 $15 classes, or sometimes it's a die and not a stamp. And the fancy class comes with either the layering stencil, and then you can also additionally buy at my price, not at a retail price, at the price I paid for wholesale. Again, I'm not trying to make money here. So at the price I paid for, you can buy the additional stamp and or die. And with the heartfelt ones, you can buy the additional flower stamp that we use if we're using one. Again, at the price that I paid for them, not at the retail price. So I'm just getting money back. I'm not adding anything to it. So it's my price with tax and shipping, whatever it is that I paid. So this is really the only way, again, to keep this going without starting to raise prices. And hopefully we won't have to do any of that, because again, I want you to understand that there's very little profit in a card class. Even for Bridget and Christina, I mean, there's some profit. It's a store. You're not going to do it if there's no profit. But now it's all me. And I've been doing the kits myself for them since September. And it's a lot of time. I have a full-time job. And then, teaching, I teach high school. So it's kind of a full-time job after that. You prep and grade and, all of those things, which I'm not complaining about. But my job isn't 9 to 5 and I walk out and I don't have to do anything till I walk back in the next day. It's just not the way teaching is realistically. So with all of that, and then Mike and Anna and the cat, everything that has to go into a household, I still have to find time to develop the samples and then create the samples. And then I have to cut the paper for the kits. I have to make sure that we have what we need. So all of these things take time, and time is part of a class fee. The class fee does not cover my time. Trust me on this one. So we'll see what happens. Again, I'm not looking to make any money from this, even with the additional optional supplies. It's what I paid for it. not what you would pay in a store. So take that for what it is, because again, I don't want anybody to think I'm making money out of my house for this or that. I left for money. I left because they're not doing classes anymore. We're still very good friends. There's no drama that's happening. But I don't want anybody to think that I'm making money here in the basement. I am definitely not. But I did institute a loyalty program because I always thought that we should have one. So I got these little loyalty cards and I got a special little punch because, people like to punch them sometimes. So I got a special little punch and I have these loyalty cards, and I forget how many because I haven't seen them. And oh, wait, they might be right here next to me. I thought these were my school business cards, but they are not. They are the loyalty cards. So it tells you right on the back that you earn one punch per paid class. So if you're here for the day, you have 3 punches for that day. That you have to have all the punches on the same card. It can't be combined with all the other cards. You need 10 punches. So it can't be like 6 on this card and 4 on another. It's got to be all on one card. So don't forget your cards. If you do, you can get another card. But again, they all have to be on one card. And then you turn in your card when you have it all full on whatever day that you're here for class. And there's I don't want to call it like a prize bin. How about like a supply bin? So I have some new products, new sealed products that I have that are either extras that I have or things that I got from close to my heart that I don't use, I never opened, or other kinds of supplies. So it's something for you to choose from. It's a little something to say thank you for joining me. And 3 classes, 10 punches is 3 months of classes, and then the first class of your 4th month if you do the bundle. So 10 seems fair. 10 actually seems to be about or less than what I've seen going on other places or at other places. So I think that was a good number to use. So the prizes, I don't want to say prizes, the freebies will change over time depending on what I have and what's in there and whatnot. So first come, first serve, there's no saving them. But I thought a loyalty program might be nice. It doesn't cost me that much money. And with whatever little profit that I am getting from this, I'm putting it right back into the prize bin. So you're getting it back anyway. So 2024, these were the dates that I had already posted, and I'm sticking to them so that you have them in advance. You can mark your calendar. The only reason they would change is obviously if we had some type of family emergency, which would always be a last minute deal, which we haven't had. But, Mike's parents are elderly. So I like to just say that because, people don't think that emergencies happen and then they get mad when classes are canceled last minute. But sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. The other thing is if I'm sick. If I'm sick, then that's that. Now we do have the basement. So last time when Mike had COVID, he was basically in his office and the rest of the house was okay. And downstairs was okay because he wasn't allowed down here. Obviously, we cleaned everything though. I will ask you this, though. Most of you know, if you know me, I have a lung disease, diminished lung capacity. If you are sick, please do not come to my house. I cannot risk getting sick because of a card class. No, I still can't refund you the money because it still goes under the refund. And I know that some of you will say, well, then I'm going anyway. But I want you to please consider the fact that I have a serious issue and a ventilator is a problem for me. So if you're sick and you are coming to class and sick and not diagnosed with COVID, don't come here with COVID. Don't come here with RSV, please. Don't come here with strep, please. But if you are sick and you've taken a test, you're not positive for anything, and you've decided to come anyway, I'm going to ask that you wear a mask in the house. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people don't like masks and they don't want to be in one for 6 hours. However, it is my home and I am immunocompromised. So I appreciate that in advance. It's not like it's a store and, we did have a bunch of people over the last year and a half come to class sick. and I did end up getting sick a few times after it. And it's not fair. It's not fair to anybody around, and it's certainly not fair to me in my own house. So I do apologize about the refund thing, but if I allowed refunds for that, everybody would cancel last minute, say they're sick, and now I'm out all of this money for these supplies that I bought based on the paid RSVPs. So you can certainly get your packet. That's not a problem. But again, I'm going to have to ask, and by ask, I mean insist, that if you're sick, you either wear a mask. If you're not contagious, if whatever, that you wear a mask. But if you have not been tested for COVID or RSV or any of those that are contagious, please don't come here if you're sick. Just let me know that morning and we will be happy to leave the kit outside for you and you can pick it up. This is the list that we made of the basic toolkit that you need to bring with you. My tables here are the same as the tables at LI Craft Stop. They're wider, but they're 6 feet, so you'll be sharing them with another person. But that said, they are still those same plastic tables, so stamping is not fantastic on them, which is why a glass mat is required for it. So bring your glass mat and your red foam stamping mat, your red foam thing that goes between your MISTI and underneath. I do have a couple of not MISTIs, I call them here, that Lisa had given me, the old ones from We Are Memory Keepers that they can't sell anymore because of the whole MISTI lawsuits things a few years ago. So I do have a couple of those here. You are welcome to use them at a station over here, but they will be shared. So it's not necessarily like you may have to get up to use them. You may not have them right where you're sitting. You would need, again, normal stuff, your non-porous craft mat. You should bring a slimline size stamp block because not every slimline stamp fits in the MISTI. Pink Fresh tends to be just at 8.5 inches tall, which is exactly what the regular size, the original MISTI is, but not every stamp is. So you may want to get a block that's 9x4. I do have the large MISTI, that 13x14 MISTI. But I don't recommend buying that for this. Just Stampendous makes a 9x4, so you may want to look into that. It's thin. It doesn't really have a cushion. It's meant for theirs. But between the glass mat and the red rubber, you should have enough cushion there to get a good image. But 9x4 is what I would recommend. The ones that they sell that are kind of curved on the edges, those are usually not 9x4. They're usually much smaller and the stamps tend to hang off the edge. So you'll need your trimmer because you're doing most of your cutting, and your scoreboard because you're doing your cutting and you're creating your own card bases. You will have the paper here. Whatever adhesive you like to use, but I always recommend that you bring a Dries Clear liquid adhesive with a fine point, because sometimes we do some delicate work, especially in those fancy classes. If you prefer a tape runner, that's fine, but a tape runner doesn't always go well with some of the intricate dies with the little itty bitty things. So we're not going to be doing pearls or anything here. Those are on your own. If you would like to have those, you can buy them wholesale from lots of different places. So that is an on your own product to keep the price down. So you don't have to worry about that. Same for Nuvo drops or anything else like that. That's an on your own product. Foam tape, if we're doing shakers, or pop dots or foam dots. If we're not, if we're just popping something up, or if you like to pop things up, because again, these are your cards. You don't have to follow my sample exactly. You don't have to follow it at all, really. You just need to do what you like to do because it's all about you and your cards. So I would always have these. Same for a bone folder, because again, you'll want to crease that card down where you score it. Again, a MISTI, you can bring other acrylic blocks, but then you'd have to bring a whole bunch of sizes. So a MISTI is normally the way to go. The mini MISTI might be okay for some stamps, but for other stamps, it is too small. Like I said, I have one here. The ones that I have are, I think, about 6.5 by 6.5. So they are not good for slimline. Just fair warning, they are not good for slimline. So you would need to bring that with you. Let's see, scissors, regular scissors, micro tip scissors, paper towels, because they're a lot of money. That's, again, something else that I can't keep providing. So paper towels for yourself when you have to mop up your own mat and that kind of thing there. A Memento Tuxedo Black ink pad. I would also add to that a VersaFine Onyx Black, because you never know which one you're going to use or which one you want. I normally say which one I've used in the samples in the description, so you can wait for that. But if you don't have one, you may want to grab one of those as you see them on sale, maybe as we're getting closer to Black Friday, Small Business Saturday. So you may find some of those on sale. Baby wipes. Bring your baby wipes with you to not only wipe down your stamps, but we may be doing some techniques and you can wipe down your area, whatnot. You may also want to bring a stamp cleaner with you. A pencil. I always say a pencil because you never know. I like to write things down as I go. I don't always do the class. I usually take notes and then I'll go back and do it later. So if you're like me, or if you want to take notes and you want to write down the measurements on the back of the card for you to recreate it, bring a pencil with you. A pen may go through, but if you're using that as a sample, it won't matter. But so I always say a pencil. Obviously, the anything that I've said in the description that you need for class, be sure that you bring that with you. If you're bringing your own inks, be sure that you have your blending brushes or ink applicators or whatever it is you use, because mine are for my inks, so we're not loaning those out. So be sure that you have what you need. Again, this isn't the store, so I don't have those little handles and the little pads that go with it, the little foam things and the little Tim Holtz thing and the Ranger. That's all you bringing it. I know you're used to them being at the store, but this is not going to be the store. And finally, I do have a scan and cut here. You are welcome to use it when we need it, if you have your own mat. The mats are very expensive. Sometimes you can get them for less money. They usually average around $40 a piece. I have seen them lately on Amazon for 20. I will caution you that it has to be that mat that's listed here. And even when Amazon says it is that mat, sometimes it is not. And there are people who have been here who have tried to use the scan and cut, and it has rejected the mat because it's the wrong mat. This isn't like a Cricut where you can use any of the mats and it's fine and it doesn't matter which way it goes. There's one way in, one way out. There's an arrow. You can't put it in backwards. And if the registration marks are forged, like it's an off-brand one, or it says it is but it was made like in China and not by the brother people, it will literally say on there, mat cannot be recognized, and you're dead in the water. So please be aware of that and please be cautious of it. This is what it has to say, though. That is the mat for my machine. I would also bring washi tape because the stick wears off on this in about 3 uses, so you'll always have to washi everything down to use it. So we're only going to cut what we need for class so that everybody gets a turn, because if there are 6 people trying to use the one machine, it can take the 2 hours for everybody to stamp and get their things, forget about coloring or anything else. So those are the things that I recommend. The scan and cut mat is optional. You can fussy cut. If there's an optional die that you want to buy that goes with it, that's fine too. But if you're not fussy cutting and there's no die, then you need that mat. You have to bring your own. All right, so that's it. That's everything. So I hope that explains some things and clears up some things and gives you some more information about January. It was a lot longer than I expected, but sometimes that's better because it's all at once. So please, if you have any questions, be sure that you contact me. And whether you are a regular at card class, and thank you for your support if you are, and I hope that you'll be able to come to the basement with me. And if you're not and you're new, I hope that we'll be able to see you. I will tell you though, we do have stairs, obviously. It's a basement. So if you cannot maneuver stairs or carry your things up and down stairs, this may not be for you. Just a fair warning. My husband is not always around, and I can't ask him to stop everything he's doing to carry things up and down stairs, 12 times between 6 people coming down and going up. So just be mindful that there are stairs, and it's a full staircase. So you'd have to get down and then you'd have to get back up to leave. So just full disclosure on that before I forget. So I hope that we'll get to meet you. I hope that I get to see you. Thank you for encouraging me to move the classes instead of just canceling them, as I was going to do when we found out that the store was going to close. And I look forward to seeing you in January. See you soon, everyone. I never know how to stop these. My students crack up all the time.